Alright, I'm Joshua Kemble, and this is my Vloggins. So, who am I? I've been a professional artist for over 15 years doing graphic design and illustration, mainly illustration. And then for the last 7 or so years, I have also been a professional art director, and I film these vlogs when I'm on my way to where I work full-time as an art director to basically talk about my personal projects and also keep track of my own personal goals and try to kind of have some accountability about getting them done. Interestingly enough, yesterday, I've been really excited about this idea of being vaccinated and finally being able to go out into the world without a massive risk to myself or my family. And so yesterday, because my vaccine is my second shot, it's been 2 weeks since my second shot, so I've been making the rounds to different comic book shops. So far, I was able to go to one on Monday, and the rest were all closed. But the one I went to, it sounds like they want me to do a signing. I need to confirm it before I kind of mention it. But we did casually kind of agree to doing a signing. It's probably not going to be a huge thing, but it'll be a fun way to kind of maybe push some books and promote the book. But I do need to confirm it so I can request it off my work. So I don't know, maybe Monday of next week I'll stop by and just double check, hey, are we still on for that? Just to make sure, so that I'm not promoting something on social media that's not actually going to happen. So that happened. And then Tuesday, which was yesterday, after work, I wound up going to a comic shop after work that said on their website that they were open until 7 p.m. and found out that most comic shops, they actually close at 5 p.m. So that means my little idea of, with two stories kind of going direct to different comic shops, is something I'm going to probably have to relegate to the weekends, because every comic shop that I know of that's local isn't open late hours. Usually comic shops are kind of a day type of scenario too, where their work hours kind of mirror when I'm at work. And then with the pandemic, most of them are running on really reduced hours right now, understandably, because they have reduced revenue. So anyhow, that's something I'm going to try to do on the weekends. I think even this Saturday I might try to hit up a couple of comic book shops. Maybe I'll go to the Northridge area, kind of do a couple stops at different shops and see if they'll carry my book. Even though my comic is available to comic shops to order through Ingram, I still think an in-person visit somewhere is a good way to go when it comes to stocking your book, or to basically sales. I do think there's some old school styles of sales that have to do with interpersonal relationships that actually work really effectively, and I want to start applying some of those strategies, old school strategies, to promoting my book. And what is my book? My book is two stories. Book one, which is out through Marcosia Enterprises, and you can actually get at a really reduced rate on Amazon.com right now by just searching for two stories, Joshua Kemble with a K, K-E-M-B-L-E. There's also a link below in the notes. That would be the most effective and easy way to get a hold of a copy of that book. And I know I mention that every single vlog, but it's something I'm trying to promote, and I want more readers for, because I'm knee deep in working on book 2. So the status of book 2 is interesting. Monday I made some progress after our indie review show, getting closer to done on the thumbnail and rough pencils stage of the project, and I have about 3 pages of of script left. The downside is I didn't get quite as far as I'd like to, and I wasn't able to complete a page. I was going to work on that yesterday. When I got home, I basically hung out with my kid, did the usual stuff, and then just crashed. Like, wound up going to bed thinking that it would be a nap, and it was another scenario of like a nap turning into me just going to bed for the night, which means my body probably needed the rest. But I'm still kind of beating myself up about it this morning, because I do think it's important for my personality. I need to keep myself strictly working on the same project over and over again. If I allow myself too many breaks, like one day can very quickly become like months of not working. And on a project like that book, that's such a wide scope of project, I really do need to be carving at it on a daily basis in order to get, an over 120 page graphic novel completed. Plus, I think the story is important, and I actually really can't wait to be able to finish it, so that I can show it to people and basically also complete the story arc that I started setting up in book 1, because book 2 will be the final book in the 2 stories. It's the second book, the second story, even though each book will have multiple stories within it. So yeah, so there's that. Fun times. But yeah, that's basically one thing I am thinking about today on my way to work, is that tonight, like, no matter how tired I am, I really need to aim to do at least finish the page that I've been working on, the thumbnails that I've been working on, so that I can just make more progress. It's got to be something I work at nightly. I will say, like, part of why I didn't was just like pure exhaustion. Like, I am juggling a lot, and then on top of having a day job and a long commute, sometimes it catches up with you where, like, running on like 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night just doesn't work. And that was one of those nights where it just was not working, and I just had to crash. But I'm going to give myself a slightly hard time about it, not to regret the past or anything like that, but to motivate myself to be able to hit it today. I also need to do my workout tonight, so that also doesn't fall into that category of things that I'm not working at consistently, because once again, that's another one of those things where if I skip it, I will probably end up skipping it for far longer than one night. On a plus side, I'm really excited. I'm going to be meeting up with my friend Josh, the guy who I play music with, and pre-pandemic was the co-writer of all the music for No Saboteurs with me, which was our band. And you can see footage of our band playing shows and stuff like that, like earlier in my YouTube if you're curious. Yeah, when I'm not doing like solo stuff, I usually collaborate with Josh on projects, and he's a really good friend, and we're excited because vaccines kicked in, so we can actually start playing music together, which is pretty exciting as well. So yeah, so there's that. Yeah, so I'm trying to think of anything else that's like of high importance. I guess the main thing is just, self-motivation's a huge thing, and trying to stay motivated is a really important thing, because in my experience in doing this for multiple years, you really have to keep an amount of self-belief as an artist. That's a pretty high bar of self-belief to retain. When you're creating art, at least when I create art, I'm pouring a little bit of myself into everything I do. And so when you do that, and then you try to promote your work, and like maybe you meet resistance or failure, or like your sales numbers maybe aren't quite what you'd envision them as being, If you lose hope and you lose belief in your product, you're going to lose sales, and you're going to have a guaranteed result. With a lack of confidence in your art, I tend to think it'll have a pretty predictable result, because without confidence, you're not going to hustle, you're not going to push your book, you're not going to talk about your own art, and if you're not self-promoting in this industry, you're going to have a really hard time getting anyone's eyes on your work. So I try to keep that in mind, especially the amount of just crazy push and vigor I had to have at the beginning of my career in order to have a career. I have to kind of keep that in mind, because there's a million people out there with that same level of ambition, and if I can't retain that at an older age, like I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna have a guaranteed result, which is like not getting sales or traffic or interest in this stuff. So yeah, so that's something that's on my mind right now. Let's see what else. I think that'll basically cover it. It's probably going to be a really short vlog today, but my hope is if I do this right tonight, we should be in a scenario where I'm having a live stream and working on my comic. I am, like, the downside of like working on personal work outside of your day job, even when, like, if you're like me, like my day job is a fairly creative job. I get to create a lot of designs and illustration on a daily basis for different clients. But when you get home, like, from those kind of things, like it is really hard to maintain like motivation and workflow and maintain a high level of output. And so, like, that's my biggest hope for today, is that, like, when I get home, I'm not gonna, like, fall for, like, the lure. It's almost like you're, you know, in the Odyssey when the sirens, like, are calling. Sometimes sleep and just, like, that voice that comes across, I think most people who are working daily, like, if you have a day job, there's this weird voice that creeps into your head when you get home. Or, like, let's say you're watching a kid or whatever it is you're doing, there's this voice, and I almost view it as like the voice of an enemy, being like, oh, you've done your work, just relax, just watch a TV show, just, like, you know, settle down, like everyone else just relaxes, that's okay. And if I fall for that voice, I very quickly fail to make the content that I need to make in order to reach my own personal creative goals. So that's my goal today, is, like, don't listen to the voice of the siren trying to tempt you off of the main course that your ship is sailing. Keep the ship going and pass the sirens and the temptation, and you will end up reaching shore. That's to me, like, that's a really important thing for myself to remember. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys. I'm curious how you guys are doing. Let me know in the comments, like, how do you guys deal with the siren call of, like, hey, just watch TV, just play video games, just rest. Like, you don't actually need to do this art. How do you guys fight that when you're wanting to work on personal projects that are outside of your day job, or outside of your main, whatever your main thing is? And then, are you succeeding at it? And hopefully maybe tonight, like, you and I both can succeed at it and really get to our art goals and see some progress, because at the end of the day, especially if you're a cartoonist, it's like, this is a daily battle, and if you're a writer, it's a daily battle, and the times you're not on the field are times where you can be missing the potential of, like, really making some great artwork and great stories for people. I'm really proud of the first book, so I really want to have that feeling of a completed work by having 2 graphic novels completed, and hopefully very soon. That's another thing, as it gets towards the end of May, I might also consider talking to my literary agent and seeing if maybe we should shop my other book that I finished years ago, and what her idea on that is. Other than that, I guess that'll basically do it, and I'm gonna head to work, and yeah, but I am going to try really hard today to overcome resistance and hit the mats and do art and make sure I do my workout as well. So yeah, that'll do it, and I will see you guys hopefully tonight on a live stream when I'm working on my comic. Bye.